Good morning, everybody. I think I'll remove my face mask now because my recorder stepped away from me. Are all my pieces working? Good. I'm Ursula Bannister, and I'm going to attempt to teach you a little bit of calligraphy. There are lots of YouTube videos available, and it really depends on your preference, what you would like to create with your calligraphy. Are you going to make 250 wedding invitations? Or are you just doing it for birthday cards? Or nameplates for the exercise class that you teach? Or would you like to do baby announcements? We can learn to do all those things. The word calligraphy is made up of two parts, calli and graphy. Most of you know that graphy means writing. What does calli mean? It's Greek and it means beautiful. So kalimera is Greek for good morning or beautiful morning, and kalinichta is good night. The German word for calligraphy is Schönschrift, which means beautiful writing. Of course, there are many ways of creating beautiful writing. And some of it is really old. It occurs in all languages, and you can trace it back to the 5th century BC, to Ethiopian writing. One of the examples I brought with me today is from the Book of Kells from Ireland. And those monks had an awful lot of extra time. And so they created some wonderful calligraphy when they copied the Bible over and over again. So we use the Latin alphabet, and I brought some ideas, and you might choose any one of these for the calligraphy that you would like to do. For example, you can do it with flamingos, or you can do it like this. Calligraphy had a real revival during the 1920s when all the flappers were dancing. Here's an interesting one. This one is very biologically correct. It has many roots. The calligraphy that most of you will want to learn is usually Gothic or Italic. And it says on this piece of paper, calligraphy and handwriting. Well, if you ever saw the signature of John Hancock, you know that there is handwriting, and then there's handwriting. And we're going to start by learning just some very basic letters. And all we need at this point is a ruled piece of paper and a pen or pencil. So most calligraphers use a calligraphy pen, and they come in many variations. I brought a few here. This one came with this lovely book, and it has a nib. On the inside are cartridges, and then you do your calligraphy with it. It came with some other nibs, and the width of the nib determines how big your letter is going to be, because you don't want your paper to look like black dots. So that's why we use nibs. In China, I saw them using brooms on the sidewalk. They dip them in buckets of water and they wrote Chinese symbols on the sidewalk. It was beautiful. To make money, they also sold calligraphy writing on smaller paper, and you could give them your name and they would transcribe it. What makes it calligraphy is how much pressure you exert on the end of your brush or your pen. And we now have felt pens, and that's really easy to do calligraphy with. But to start with, I would like to just use a pencil and a plain piece of paper. And the good people who teach this stuff say that the letters are organized in families. And the first one we're going to do is the letter I. So you want to not have more than 5 degrees on a slant. So let's make a whole row of I's. Are you ready? Okay, get your pencil out, get your paper out. We're making I's. Start at one end of the line and go to the other. And try to make them as equal as you can and space them exactly the same space from one to the other. This takes a lot of practice. And of course you want to be holding your pencil like this. And because I am recording this with a camera, I'm probably not having the best posture, but posture is important. Because if you're going to do pages and pages of calligraphy, you don't want to get a crank in your back or a muscle spasm in your hand. Okay? So your homework assignment is to finish this row of I's. To the same family belongs the letter L. Now the L goes a little bit above the line. And again, it should be at the same angle, about 5 degrees. Okay, slow down, don't go too fast. Make sure the spacing is correct. No, you may not use a ruler. And if you use lines that are really far apart, it gets harder and harder and harder. So I would suggest collegiate paper that you buy at Target. The next letter we're going to do is the J. So you have to imagine that on the L, you sort of had a line here, and this line is called the ascender line. So can I spell that? A-S-C-E-N-D-E-R. Ascender line. When we make the letter J, we go below the main line. And we start right there, and we go just as far down as we went up on the L. And then the dot is approximately at the end of the L. Okay? So let's try that again. Start there at a 5-degree angle, and then come around. And don't forget to dot your J. Let's do a few more. Now you can already imagine that if you were to do this with a felt pen, the pressure of your hand would determine the width of the stroke, and of course the nib determines the width of the stroke as well. So let me show you, just for fun, I have a felt pen here, and the nib is straight and it's 2 millimeter. So if I hold this at a 45-degree angle, and then I come down, it makes a real different looking J, doesn't it? And all I did was basically the same, except I lifted my pen up to add that little serif down there. Okay? So if this is called the ascender, what do you suppose we call this line down here? Not everybody at once, please. That's correct. It's called the descender line. Let me spell it for you. D-E-S-C-E-N-D-E-R. Okay? Guess what this line is called? That one is called the waistline. Isn't that funny? Waist. Just like the one in our middle, waistline. And the bottom one is called the base line. Now, if I remember all those words, I'll be using them to teach you the calligraphy with the calligraphy pen. Let's move on to the second family, and this is contains the letters K and V. So once again, we start as if we were writing an L, and then we go like this, K and K. Now, this juncture right there should be in the middle between your waistline and your baseline. Okay? And let's make a few more of these guys. If you end up with a calligraphy book, it shows you which line has to go first. They usually draw little arrows. If you watch me and do it with me, you don't need to go through all that. So start at the top, start at the ascender line, go down to the baseline, start at the waistline, and go to the baseline. Okay, that's your K. Your homework is to finish the row, and if they don't look the same, make another row. Exercise is good for you. Okay? Some people like to do it all in one stroke, and so you can do that. You can go like this, come back up, make a curlicue, go to the middle there, and then come down. Okay? Definitely you want to be up there at the ascender line. And now we're going to make some V's. Okay? So we'll start with a new line, and you start at the waistline, you go down to the baseline, and you come back up. Now, obviously, these are not 5-degree angles, okay? But you definitely want to make sure that if you were to draw a 5-degree angle here, like this, you would have the same amount of V on this side as you do on that side. Just keep practicing. You don't have to think about it that hard. Good job. Nicely done. Again, finish the row, add an extra if you have to. Okay? And what we can do with the V is make a W, right? So do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just remember to always go back up to the waistline and make them as equal as you can. Not that easy, is it? Mine are all over the place here. It's hard to slow this down. Okay. Our next letter is the letter X. And this time we're going to start at the waistline and draw a diagonal down. And then we're going to draw a diagonal going up. They should cross right in the middle of the waist and waistline. Okay? So one line down and one line up, with the cross being right in the middle. And already you can see, sometimes I make my X's a little smaller and sometimes they're a little bit wider. And I have to really, really be careful to make them all the same size. That's why it's called calligraphy. Beautiful writing. And you sure don't want to hurry this stuff, so you go nice and slow till you can do it without thinking about it. Remember when we learned to use the typewriter and we had a keyboard and then we were not allowed to look at the keys and we hit the keyboard and words appeared on our piece of paper in the typewriter? Well, this is sort of the same thing. Eventually it becomes muscle memory and you don't have to think about it anymore. Okay, so remember, this was family 1 and this is family 2. 1 and 2. And for family 3, we have the letter N. So let's start right here. Down, up, and around. Down, up, and around. And my up line separates from the curl right in the middle between the waistline and the baseline. Down, up, and around. Can you guess what our next letter is going to be? Ha! You thought it was M. Nope, it's going to be H. So when we go to the H, we go to the ascender line, right there. Draw a line, and then pretend you're making an N. Start at the ascender line, come around, and go down. Boy, you guys are getting really good, and it's going faster now, isn't it? So if you really had to make 250 wedding invitations, you could probably do it in a day or two. All right. Now we're ready for the M, okay? Find your waistline. Come up. Make an N, and do it one more time. Waistline, come up, and do it one more time. Boy, these are not equally spaced. Let's make this one perfect. When I was learning to do this, my teacher was this gentleman, and he had a red pen, and he would go around, and he would say, nope, that's too far from this line. Nope, this is too far from that line. This one's pretty good. That's what he would say. And our homework would be to write the letter M, full sheet, until the next lesson, which was 5 days later. Okay, so there you have the M. Let's make an R. Start at the waist, come up, and quit. How about that? Start at the waist, let your line separate, and quit. Start at the waist, go halfway up, and then start your curl. See, it's not that hard. They're all related. But you definitely don't want to do this. See what I did here? I did not trace that line back to the middle, and it made it look really funky. Okay? So, I think that is family 3. Shall we quit today, and we'll take this up with family 4 next time? Let's do one line and write an I, and then a J, and then a K. And you sure don't want to hurry this stuff, so you go nice and slow. Thank you for being part of the class today. Next time we'll learn more, and then we can write lots of good things. Bye.